What's up? What's up? What's going on, Coop? How you doing on this Wednesday?
What up? I'm good. How you?
I'm great, man. Welcome everybody to another episode of According to Hip Hop Live, man. Me and Coop gonna be talking about this 3-6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony versus, among other things. But you know what? We want to welcome our continued YouTube audience. Wanted to let people know to go to According to Hip Hop on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you can get notified when we go live. But also, man, I want to welcome everybody from other streaming platforms, from Spotify to iTunes, or what is it, Apple Music now, rather. Everything else out there. You can download our podcast on any of those platforms, anywhere you stream your podcast. So, we want to welcome that audience too. But y'all can also come to YouTube as well so you can catch us live and join in the conversation. But, man, how you doing today, brother?
I'm good. Easy day. Slow motion today. No traffic. Staying on
No
my
traffic. Well, we're going to jump into this 3-6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony versus preview. But, we'll kind of cover some other things, ahead of time while everybody's getting in the room. I know there was a story yesterday posted that with Jay Prince, Drake, and Kanye. I guess they met up at Drake's compound up in Toronto. And everything is squashed, and they're going to do that concert date on December 7th, I believe it is. It's a benefit for Larry Hoover to try to, get his sentence. What's the word I'm looking for, Coop?
I think you're trying to get it. I don't know the actual legal
Yeah,
term.
but they're trying to get him out. It'll come to me in a second. It's a brain freeze at this moment.
Yeah, they're pretty much trying to get his sentence eradicated at this point, though.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's great to see this. Great to see these guys come together. I don't understand why it hadn't happened sooner because, again, I don't really understand what the problem was from the jump. At least there, being a problem to a degree where you couldn't sit down and come together for a larger purpose. Glad that we're seeing this happen.
Yeah.
Um, and, I think that it's a great move. Terminator 2 is in the building. What up, man? He said, hey, my two favorite guys. Can we give our flowers to Nori? Incredible content. Appreciate it. You know what? We will give our flowers to Nori because I think, without, Kanye being on Nori's Drink Champs, not sure that this message would have gotten out to that level unfiltered and to a point where people would actually listen because I think whenever Kanye starts, speaking in length, he gets that crazy label. So yeah, definitely shout out to Drink Champs for giving Kanye that platform to really just speak and giving Larry Hoover Jr. the platform to speak as well and tell his story about what he's been going through his whole life dealing with this.
Right. I think. Oh, I just looked it up. The word we're looking for is pardon. They're looking for a pardon.
Pardon, I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah. But yes, I mean, Mike, it's like I said last week. I told you he was going to do this. I said I don't know what the holdup is. I was like, but it's going to happen. He's going to do this, and it's happening. It just makes sense.
My thing is the holdup seems to be just dramatics and Hollywood type ish. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what's the problem? And we still don't know what the problem is. And you got people on Twitter. I saw Pusha T's name, trending on Twitter because of this. Like, people acting like Pusha T would be mad about this. Like, there's nothing to be mad. Like, what is the whole deal? Bottom line is, Pusha T smoked Drake in the battle. Drake went in hiding, and he had no response for it. So that's done. You know what I mean? Like, there's no real problems. It's what it is. And so we're not gonna. But see, what I don't like about this, though, and I'm not saying this, and I'm not liking these two guys coming together. I love that because again, there shouldn't have been an issue to not be able to come together on in the first place. But I don't like the fact that it's being spun that it's happening on Drake's terms and on Drake's grounds. You know what I'm saying? On some Jay-Z type shit.
No, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Because he did this to Meek Mill. When they, he beat him in the battle, but when they made up, You had Meek Mill out here playing table tennis on an OVO table tennis board, looking crazy. No, let's keep it real, man. He does these things on purpose.
Yo, Mike,
Meet me on neutral grounds, dog. You know what I'm saying? I don't like that shit. That's just whack.
Mike, you wild today.
I'm serious, man. It's corny. It's corny, man, because at the end of the day, this is about getting a pardon for someone who deserves a pardon based on, the First Step Act, right? But so you're sitting here using this as an excuse or just leverage to sun somebody in a situation. You know what I mean?
No, I do get what you're saying, but it's like we also spoke about the week before, though. It's really him trying to save face more than him sunning, if that makes sense. Because it's like we talked about, he was kind of boxed into a corner in a sense. It's like, well, if you don't do this, how's it really going to play if you don't do this? Well, you can't afford to not do this. So this is him more saving face than sunning to me, if that makes sense.
Well, I think it's a bit of both, right? And he's using all that leverage to seemingly come out on top in this, right? And I think the other part that's wild is the fact that you're out here in this Travis situation as well with this Astro Fest. And never mind the fact that Sickle Mode saved your career in 2018, did it not?
I have to say that.
It did. So now that Travis is in hot water, let me jump over here. Let me do this over here. I'm telling you, man. He learned from the best, though. I give him that.
You on one today, but it's good.
No, it's real, man. Like, what's the holdup? You know what I'm saying? And you conveniently wait for the moment where you're in hot water because, again, you were out there at this Astro World Fest, too. And now it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. But I'm kind of going to make this about me because you guys are going to have to come to Toronto. I'm sitting here in the middle of the picture like I'm Beyonce or something. You know what I'm saying? And these guys are on the side. I don't like the optics of it. I don't. And I think the fact that this is actually about something substantial and you still use this as an opportunity for optics, I think is corny. That's just the bottom line, man.
You want to know what, Mike? Now I'm going to tell you something. When I saw the picture and I saw him in the middle, I was like, what is this shit?
Exactly. You know what I mean? It's like, bruh, come on, man. This is about actually getting a man out of jail who's been in jail been in prison, excuse me, his son's 47-year life. You know what I mean? And you out here trying to stunt like Beyonce in front of your crib, man. You got Jay Prince and Kanye out here looking like Michelle and Kelly, dog. Like, come on, what are we doing?
Oh, this is great, Mike.
I'm just saying, man.
It's better when it comes from you. It really is.
I'm just saying, man. It's like, and shout out to Kanye, man, because really, in a situation like that, I'd have been like, you know what, man, I could really do this by myself if we're,
Mike, I keep trying to tell you, it's like, when you start really examining these situations, which one of these niggas crazy again?
Right.
But Mike, no. When you go beyond the optics and you really start looking at stuff, it's like, damn, Ye's being the bigger dude about this. It's like, damn, Ye's been really the one pushing this. It's like, damn, Ye's really the one talking about this community involvement and this community activism. It's like, check. But the optics.
But look exactly with the optics. And Mike, it might not be like what this is, right? This, we're all speculating. I'm just saying what it looks like, right? So what it looks like is all this is happening on. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm talking over you.
It looked like Black Dynasty, Mike. That's what the optics look like.
The optics look crazy. It looks like, look, all right, you want me for this benefit for Larry Hoover to get this man, get the word out about getting him out? Well, this is what I'm going to need you to do. I'm going to need you to come to Toronto. I'm going to need you to take this picture in front of my house. I'm going to need Dave Chappelle here. I'm going to need to be in the middle of the photo. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what it looks like. All it had to be was as soon as he put that olive branch out, be like, yo, of course I'm down. That's it. All this shit is like, it's not a good look on Drake's end. And I'm saying this like from a real space, from a real place, excuse me, to be honest. That's what it looks like on Drake's end. And again, you have a history with these things because you had Meek Mill playing table tennis on an OVO table tennis board. So we know you do these things. And you might be the king of subliminals, especially after this, man. I always gave that to Jay-Z. He was always the king of subliminal petty shit on the record, but Drake takes that shit to a whole nother level. I got to give it to him.
Mike, this might be your rant of the year. This might be the best rant you had this year.
And you didn't even see it coming, huh?
No, I didn't at all. Mike, I'm glad we're live.
The pre-show was so calm. We didn't talk about any of this stuff.
Mike, we were big chilling.
Hey, shout out to everybody in the room. Tell everybody we live, man. Come on in the room. We got a whole lot to discuss today. Man,
Mike, how about this? To everything that you had to say, Mike, I guess I want somebody to come tell you different, you know?
Well, it sounds like you agree with me.
No, Mike, I'm laughing because it's like you literally took all my material from me.
Well, Samaki, I cannot pronounce his name. I'm sorry. He said, "What's up, fellas? Just listen to the Bridge podcast, first 3 episodes, and it's real dope for hip hop. Nas, Jungle, Corday, and Cube. It's all love. That's what's up." I did see like an ad on that. I haven't clicked it yet. I didn't know it was a podcast. I saw that it was what's her name? Miss Info and Nas. And that might have been like one episode. And I thought that was special because Miss Info was the person that actually wrote up the review for Illmatic and the source. And it gave 5 mics.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a one-off. But...
Yeah. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, but I'm gonna check it out if they're gonna keep on rolling. Yeah.
Oh, most definitely. But yeah. So that's what I felt about that. I don't know, man. It reeks of some Hollywood type of stuff. And again, this is one of those things that I feel like it could have been quote unquote squashed a long time ago. I think this is the only quote unquote beef in hip hop that we don't even know the origins of, and we don't even know what the real problem is. Do you know? Am I missing something? Does somebody in the room know what the actual problem between Kanye West and Drake is?
They should have like a dance off or something. This is some old
right.
school.
This is some. I'm sorry, man. It's corny. I think. All right. Well, I know Drake was saying that he went out to Wyoming, and there was some songs that didn't get used, or some he was taking the concept from Scorpion or something like that. Shit like that. Like
problematic.
And listen, I think the other thing that's problematic too, obviously, this comes across as very WWF-ish.
That's what I mean. It's very problematic.
And I love Kanye. You know what I'm saying?
Like that photo looked like some black. Mike, you remember like Robert Townsend like did this had this HBO like comedy special once, and he did this black soap opera called like The Bold, the Black. The
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like a scene out of that. That was like, what the fuck is this? The Bold, the Black, the Beautiful. I was like, what the fuck are these niggas doing? I was like, where are they at? Like, where are they? Like, what is this?
Terminator 2 says it has to do with Kim K. What? Listen, man. Kim is his wife. They have 4 children together. What does it have to do with his wife? Like, did Drake do something with his wife? Who cares? Like, what?
No, because for real, because like if he had did something with her per se, they wouldn't be standing next together in that photo.
Very
like
good point.
The beautiful and shit.
And on point. I mean, again,
it's real happy.
These guys are grown men, and there's no real point in any grown men in hip hop at this point beefing anyway. You know, obviously when you got the 50 Cent and Ja Rule's type of stuff going on, those have a deep-seated past. But even those two guys, at this point in their careers and lives, they should find some way to at least be cordial about it. You know what I'm saying? But this right here, at this age and at this status, and with there not being any real problems, I don't understand it.
No, you know.
If you got a problem with somebody, Drake, it should be Pusha T because he roasted you a couple of times, and your man's, you know what I mean, and you had no answer for it. When Pusha T dropped his shit, this is a fact. You pushed your shit back. You disappeared from social media for 30 days. You did. And then he came back with some I'm upset, or no, I'm upset was first or whatever. You know what I mean? And after he was upset, the what was it? I want to say Adonis. What was it?
Story of Adnan?
Yeah. The story of Adnan dropped, and then you went silent. You didn't post anything. You went into quote unquote album mode. Dropped Scorpion. Really wasn't doing much. It took a nigga Shiggy to do a dance to get you a hit. And Sicko Mode saved you. Why? Where's the Kanye problem? If there's anybody to have a problem with, it should be Pusha T. And you should handle that on wax because everything that Pusha T did was on wax and it was on some rap shit. And, Drake's done his rap shit he roasted Meek Mill on record. So you have experience in that. And really, the record that he did, what was it? The one that he winted, that was supposed to be the response to Infrared. You know what I'm talking about. Duppy Freestyle. Duppy Freestyle was pretty good, but it was more directed at Kanye than it was Pusha. And Pusha was the one that hit you with the diss record. So it feels like Drake wanted Kanye's spot or wants Kanye's spot, and he's continuously coming at him and doing things to keep a beef going until he gets it. And I think this right here was him feeling like he got it. Sitting in the middle of the two guys like he's Beyonce in front of his compound with Dave Chappelle doing comedy in his basement. It's fucking sick to me.
When you said Beyonce the first time, you could have dropped the mic and ended the podcast. Like it would have been.
What DeCarlo says, that's because Jay Prince got involved, Mike. That's what the beef died. But what was the beef, though?
I told you it's very problematic.
In much respect to Jay Prince and everything that he does because he's done so much in hip-hop and brought people together, but this should have been nothing because there is no real beef. It shouldn't have even taken Jay Prince to do that. It's just like, look, dude, get on the phone. Unless this is some Hollywood stuff.
It's like some Hollywood stuff.
That's what it seems like. So, what's up?
No. I said seems like.
Yeah, that's what it seems like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just my thoughts on the matter. But it was also announced, though, this week that 3 6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony are finally going to do their verses. I remember.
Oh, hold on.
Go ahead.
We're not gonna talk about Ye and Beans, or are we doing that later?
I don't want to go back to back Ye, man. We can kind of, give Ye a rest for a second. We're gonna talk about that though.
All right, he has been everywhere. This motherfucker busy. Go ahead.
So yeah, it was announced via Versus. It said it's that time. Bone Thugs and Harmony versus 3 6 Mafia. Live from Los Angeles, Thursday, December 2nd. Y'all ready? More details coming soon. And then, 3 6 Mafia commented under there, tear the club up. Man, all right, look.
Go ahead, Mike.
Nah, man, I don't want to take up all the time. Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to talk about when it initially happened.
Right, go ahead. I already know. Yeah. Run it. Go ahead.
So a year and a half ago was that I think we were online or whatnot, and DJ Paul and Crazy Bone were gonna do the verses on their own because at this point verses didn't have any real big platforms. Everybody was just on Instagram Live, just doing what they do. And so, being the independent mind that they are, or that he is, DJ Paul was like, well, shit, we can go ahead and just do this on our own because from what I understand, him and Crazy Bone been working on music. They're actually about to put out a project together. And so he was like, yeah, Bone Thugs and Harmony versus 3 6 Mafia. And this is why we were still on quarantine. They were at the crib. DJ Paul had all his DJ equipment set up. And Crazy Bone was, I guess at his crib about to do the same thing. And then Crazy Bone got a call from Swiss Beats and the whole thing got canceled. And, Swiss Beats told Crazy that, you need to do it the right, or they were going to do it the right way. And so a year and a half later, here we are. And
Mike, Mike, you
but see,
remember
this
we
is what I said a year ago. I told Coop, I said, yeah, this shit's not gonna happen. Because as soon as it got delayed, they didn't even really make any formal announcement. They said, we're gonna circle back to this or whatever they said. I was
No,
like, man,
Mike,
this ain't gonna happen.
Mike, I vividly remember you were like, the right way. You were like, what is the right way? What's the right way? What do you mean we're going to do this the right way? It took them a year and a half to figure out a way to do this the right way.
You know what the right way is? 3-6, y'all need to be playing some of the records that are on major labels, not all your independent stuff that you own.
Is that what that means, Mike?
Yeah, that's what that means. This is a publishing grab. This is what this whole versus is anyway. Clearly.
That is very problematic.
So that's the only thing I can.
So you're telling me the 18-month or the year or so. I don't know if it's been a full 18 months. It seems like it's been more like 15 months. But you're telling me this like over a year delay. It's probably been like behind the scenes attorneys, making sure paperwork and publishing rights, because Bones had some publishing issues.
Yeah, and I think the other thing too, which is interesting, is the fact that, and I peeped this when it was happening. Only Crazy Bone was really getting behind this. Like Lazy and none of the Bone members who are very active on social media, they didn't post anything about it. They're like, we didn't sanction this. I think here with the Versus platform or with Trilla involved or whoever else is involved, because they got all kind of dealings going on, they're able to cut somebody a check or cut the artist a check for doing this, but the artists were about to go and do it for free. But see, with DJ Paul and Juicy J, the way they own their publishing, it wouldn't have been for free for them. They would have been actually giving light to a lot of the shit that they own, and they would have been capitalizing on this. So that's why Swiss Beats reached out to Crazy Bone, probably. And again, I'm just speculating. And look, you want to get paid for this or you want to do this for free?
Mike, this is NBA Jam, and you are on fire.
I'm just saying, man. I mean, we got to keep it all the way real. I'm looking forward to it, even though, and I want to get your perspective on it too. I don't think this is a good matchup for Bone. It sounds good on paper because these two groups have been associated with each other in the '90s and during the height of Bone Thugs and Harmony. But when you look at the longevity and the way that 3-6 Mafia is actually structured, and how they've been able to extend as a posse, and it gets convoluted with what's actually a 3-6 record and what's not. Like, if you just let them play everything they're involved in, man, this really ain't fair.
Wrap that up.
Yeah.
So Mike, you posed the biggest question that I had on the 3-6 side is, well, what the hell you gonna play? What are we calling 3-6 stuff? Because if everything's up for game, especially Project Pat shit, Mike, you can go ahead and wrap this up.
Well, I mean, they can even play Chicken Head because DJ Paul and Juicy J got the last verse on that.
Mike, that's what I'm saying. If that stuff goes into play, oh yeah, it's gonna be tough for Bone. But on Bone's side, and here's their problem, Mike. When I was listening to Bone stuff, I realized something. Like Bone are actually really great rappers, Mike.
They can rap, yeah.
They're great. Their production isn't always great.
Exactly.
This is the wrong camp to go up against.
It is.
Your production isn't hard, Mike. This is the wrong camp to go up against if your production isn't hard.
This is the thing, man, and I want to give some context to this too, because again, I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on Bone or anything, because I was a hardcore Bone Thugs and Harmony fan when East 99 came out, and even Creeping on the Come Up, because Thuggish Ruggish Bone was everywhere. For the Love of Money was everything. I knew all the words to the songs on East 99. Like, I'd take the video like on VHS back in the day when I was in like middle school or elementary school or whatever, and I would rewind their stuff just so I could learn all the words. I would get soundtracks just because Bone had one song on there. Like, I would get the Set It Off soundtrack. I would get like, Huh?
Yeah, for Days of Our Lives.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
get the Great White Hype for Shoot 'Em Up. You know what I'm saying? Like I would have this stuff on repeat. Everyday Thing was my favorite song. Like,
that's my favorite, Mike. I love Everyday Thing.
and if it wasn't for How High being on the show, that would have been my
That
favorite song on there.
right,
But
right.
with that
Agreed.
being said, though, I got into 3-6. Me and my homeboy Melvin. Shout out to Melvin because we were really hardcore Bone fans, and I think that the transition to being a 3-6 Mafia fan was just it was just a easy transition, right? So in '97, when Bone kind of lost his edge a little bit, like what you were saying in a previous show when we were talking about Crossroads, because their whole musical approach changed after the Crossroads remix.
It did.
And so around '97, we were hearing about this group from Corey Jackson, I think, and he was talking about this group that was dissing Bone. And so we listened to it for the Bone diss at first, and then started getting pulled in by the style that Lord Infamous and Coopster were rapping with because they kind of had like a sped up flow. But it's 6 of these guys, and then you got Gangsta Boo who pulls you in her way too, and then next thing you know, I become a 3-6 fan, and then you're following everything that they're doing, and this is just the '90s. These guys kept going. They kept innovating their style. They got the Prophet Posse stuff, the Hypnotized Camp Posse stuff. And at that time, man, I think Bone, they were just, they were kind of a little flat. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Resurrection album that Bone put out in, what was that, 2000? It's a pretty good album.
2001.
But it didn't have the hits. And if we're talking about the hits here, and I start thinking to myself, 2 real strong things that Bone has. Well, I would say 3. They got Notorious Thugs. They got one of the final Tupac collaborations, which I think is a strong song, but I think kind of gets overlooked because of how strong Notorious Thugs is and Biggie's performance on there. And they got the Mariah Carey breakdown. Those are 3 really good ones that Bone has.
So, Mike, you highlighted 3. I think you're missing 2 more.
Okay, I'm talking about outside of their individual catalogs because I feel like hit-wise, Bone
Yes.
doesn't have a lot outside of Creeping on the Come Up in East 1999.
Well, Mike, as a group, those are the 3. But Crazy has I Don't Give a Fuck with Lil Jon, and he
Okay.
has Riding Dirty with Chameleonaire.
Good ones. I remember Riding Dirty, but I totally forgot about I Don't Give a Fuck. That's a good one. That
Yeah,
is a good one.
And all of those are notable enough to go in a versus, and all of
I
those
agree.
enough beat wise to go on a versus, which is going to be their biggest struggle. So I'm going to tell you, first of all, Mike, they're kind of going to have to accept some things in order to do this versus. It's like in order to do this versus, they have to realize Crazy Bone's going to be at the front man.
Okay. I mean, I agree with that. I mean, he's kind of the initiator of this versus in the first place. Although I've always felt like for some reason that Lazy Bone is the leader of the group. If
I feel
there
like
is a leader.
I've always felt like Lazy Bone was a better rapper,
Really?
like bar for bar than Crazy. It's just Crazy has the voice and the flow.
He does.
He has the voice and the flow. He's not necessarily bar for bar better than Lazy or Busy to me.
Busy has the content. I got to
Busy
keep
has
it real.
content. So, Mike, that was my biggest question too. As well as Busy coming.
They said, well, DJ Paul said Busy's going to be there.
Okay, so
That's what he said.
Okay, so that was one of my questions. And also too, Mike, and like you said, they're gonna have to lean on some of like those outside stuff that they did. Because here's one thing that I noticed about Bone. It's like, Mike, they're one of those groups that when they hit their mark on a record, oh, they really hit their mark
Real shit.
on a record. So those records that we're talking about, like Everyday Thing, oh no, that hits the mark. East 1999, oh no, that hits the mark. Thuggish Ruggish Bone, For the Love of Money, First of the Month, Low Murder. You know what I'm saying? Oh no. When they hit it, they hit it. But it's like when they don't hit it, it's like,
No, you're right.
And what you'll find after like somewhere on the Art of War, it's just like they stop hitting it really.
Well, see, I wanted to get to that comment because KCon 515 says Art of War 2, dude. Listen, I bought Art of War.
Is he saying that like in a way, like saying that project was dope?
I guess so. Because as a project, yes. Because again, the thing with Bone, if we talking about a verses and we talking about the hits, I mean, I don't think songs like Land of the Heartless, and I know that's on East 1999. I don't think songs like that are going to be played. I think the hit that's on Art of War is Teach the World, right? Because I don't see Look Into My Eyes being played at a versus. And if you play Look Into My Eyes against 3-6, you're going to lose, man.
Well, see, okay, so this is what I mean. Okay, so Mike, look at it like this. So where would you rank those soundtrack songs that we talked about right quick? Those 3 soundtrack songs, Days of Our Lives, Shoot 'Em Up, and Everyday Thing. Where would you rank those in Bone's catalog?
They're towards the top.
Those are
even if I listen to Days of Our Lives now, like that's a really dope record. And out of the 3, that's third for me.
Mike, I agree. Out of those 3, that's third for me too. I think those are 3 of their 10 best records, and they're on none of their albums.
They got to use those. They got to stretch. But see, I think the problem with Bone, and you kind of hit on a little bit of this when we were talking about Crazy Bone being highlighted. Mm-hmm. I don't understand how this is going to work for Bone when it's 4 members, and the way they do their songs is slightly different than 3-6, right? 3-6 can go in there and, you know, unfortunately, and rest in peace, Lord Infamous and Coopster, they got 2 members that have passed away. So, okay, Lord Infamous is really the reason why I started listening to 3-6, and I think he was an incredible lyricist being around the people that he was around and all that. But
I feel that way about 3-6, Mike.
Huh?
Most people feel that way about 3-6. Lord Infamous is what
he's something else. Yeah. And so with all that being said, though, they were able to chop up their verses through 8 bar type of cadences, right? So it's like first verse might be Juicy and Gangsta Boo, or second verse might be DJ Paul. So it's easier to highlight 2 people in the group just off of a 16 bar or first minute or however verses does their format. With Bone, it's going to be like, we're just going to play one person's verse. That's pretty much how it's going to be, unless you're talking about Crossroads. And so my question is, whose verse is Bone going to play on each of these songs? And how is that going to work?
So, Mike, can I tell you something? One of the reasons that I didn't care for 3-6 as much when I was younger wasn't because I didn't think their music was dope. It's because I couldn't figure out who the fuck was who, because so many people would come on after like 4 or 8 bars and start rapping. It would happen so fast to be like, okay, who's that? Okay, who's that? Who's that? Is that Gangsta Boo? No, Gangsta Boo gone. That's the chat. It's like, oh, word? When did that happen? You know what I'm saying? And so... But it's funny how time kind of changes things, because I always was more into Bone than 3-6 around that time until Bone started to fade. And then like you, I started to get more into 3-6. My cousin had been listening to 3-6 and like put me on the 3-6. Like we rode around Charlotte to all of that constantly, especially like when Tear the Club Up and all that came out. Like that's when I feel like they really like started like hitting their mark. But Bone does have a problem with the fact that, Mike, not only do they have just like one verse shots, but these dudes are rapping a lot for one verse for a long time. Like their verses aren't like little 30-second verses. It's like, no, these dudes be rapping this fast for like a minute, 15 seconds, which is amazing when you think about the breath control. It's also potentially troublesome live.
Exactly. So if you play first of the month, right? Let's just say Bone plays first of the month in the verses. Which verse are they going to play? You know what I mean? Because you only get to play. I don't know what the rules are, if they're going to extend the rules for this group, but you only get to play like a minute and a half, right? Or something like that. So are we going to just play, Crazy's verse that starts it off? Are we going to go with Busy? Are we going to play Wish's verse? Or are we going to play Lazy's verse? They're going to have to choose. And I think ultimately that's going to end up hurting Bone in playing some of their biggest records, because the way they structured their songs, a lot of their songs got stronger as the verses went on. Like For the Love of Money, you don't want to play the beginning of that. You want to play Easy On.
Right. So I'll tell you what, that's one of those intangible things where the group's ego is going to come into play in terms of being fair about who gets the nod. Because I tell you on first of the month, even though Crazy starts it off, I think Busy's verse is the verse people remember the most, and I think Lazy's verse is the strongest.
You know what? It's interesting you say that. I think that Wish's verse is probably the most memorable, but I see what you're saying there. And maybe I'm thinking about when it came out, but yeah, I think Lazy has the strongest there. When
Yeah,
when
Lazy
when
has
they
a
play
strong
Notorious
verse.
Thugs, what are they gonna do? Like, you gonna play Biggie's whole verse?
No, so you can't do that. You got
You
to play
can't do
one of those
that.
verses.
They don't have the time to do that.
Hold on. Isn't that Lazy at the end of Notorious Thugs
Yep,
too? He be killing shit, Mike.
he
That's the
does.
best verse on there
I
too.
liked his verse on there.
Some ego. I'm saying some ego gonna have to come into play about some of this because Mike, I'm gonna tell you what I really, really hear. If you're really gonna go with the strongest verses, what you're gonna find is that if you're going with the hits and you're going with the verses, it's gonna be more crazy and lazy in the front with a little bit of busy
If
on the
we're gonna
side.
go with the strongest verses, though, Coop, Wish is not gonna get any time, respectfully, and I don't think that's fair either. They're gonna have to spread it around.
Hey, so Mike, I'm one of those things. It's like, are you playing for notoriety and money, or are you playing to win? Because the notoriety and the money gonna come. At that point, I'm playing to win. So it's like I want to win more than I want to like be like. I told you, Mike. I told you, Mike. Like I told you, ain't enough dudes cool with being Scottie Pippen. Too many people don't want to sit up there and be like, no, I'm gonna support your business and your organization and like be the sidekick to it and help you build it and help it grow. Too many people just don't think that way. That's why I said the intangible and the ego part of this is really what's about to come into play. Because if you're gonna be honest with yourself, Mike, it's like it's gonna be a lot of lazy and a lot of crazy if you want to win. Do you want to win?
I think Wish has
Win.
always been good about that. Like, and I say this respectfully. I think Wish is kind of like, let's just say like and I know it's gonna sound bad, for people out there, like a Michelle or Jackie Jackson, where it's like they always been cool with the fact that, you know what, no, that's the one. Like, Wish has always given Crazy his props. He's like, yo, Crazy's that dude. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, while they're on that stage together, it would look shitty if he didn't get any verses. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he is a part of the group, and he has to get some sort of shine. I think you God has struggled with that to a degree, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, you've heard some of the things you God has said, but dude, you're in an amazing group. You're a really dope rapper that is
That's
in
what I mean.
the most lyrical group ever. Like,
Mike, and that's what I mean. Is like so. It's not that Wish isn't a dope rapper. Is that we really, as a hip hop culture, really haven't categorized busy, crazy, and lazy as the great MCs that they truly are. You feel what I'm saying?
K
Like those
Khan
guys,
says Wish can do his verse on Breakdown, and I agree with that. So,
maybe. Oh, that'd be great. Yeah.
the Locks did a really good job of showcasing Sheik too, because Sheik is a very understated member of the Locks.
She can
And
rhyme his ass off though
yeah,
too,
he
Mike.
can. Yeah,
She
but I
has
mean, again, he suffers similar from what you guys suffers from. You got Jada and Styles over here, and the fact that
right.
Jada and Styles do so much work together and they're back and forth, he's kind of always,
I think it's just because they're all time great, and you could just
yeah.
rhyme into somebody who's all time great all the time. Yeah, and it's only a 3-man group, and two of the three guys are all time great, not just great, but all time great. And so
Yeah.
he ends up looking good instead of great because Sheik is actually a great MC. It's like, well, I mean, talking about Styles and Kiss. You know what I'm saying?
Will says Wish probably has the most memorable line of Crossroads. I agree with that. I think that.
All right, there we go.
I think with Wish, they got to play Breakdown with Wish, showcase him on there, and they got to showcase Wish on Crossroads. I think Crossroads is probably going to be the last song they play.
His verse on East 1999 was pretty strong.
It was, it was.
Yeah.
But everybody is always so strong. Like, you know what I'm saying? That was the thing about Bone. Like, he was in a group with some really strong rappers, man. So even when he's strong, it's like they got strong moments too. But if they do Mo Murder, which I don't know if they will.
No, they need to.
You think they need to? Yeah, I don't know if they will, but I think that they could showcase him on that too.
It's just one of the strongest songs in their catalog. How can they not? Is it not? Am I wrong?
That's the other part I struggle with too. It's like I love Bone is one of those groups. I like their B-sides more than their singles. So when I start thinking about the hits, I know you did a mock list because we're gonna do a mock at some point of 3 6 and Bone, kind of do like a preview in that way where we go song for song. But after Thuggish Ruggish Bone, after For the Love of Money, after Crossroads, First of the Month,
Thug Love.
Thug Love, and Notorious Thugs, and I'm starting to kind of run low on hits. But we just named 5 featured stuff. But if we're talking about Bone Records, and then the 3 soundtrack songs, but see, those aren't hits.
Those aren't hits. Those are those B-sides we love. See, okay, so here's going to be the problem, and this is what I mean production-wise. It's like, oh, well, we love Everyday Thing and, like, Shoot 'Em Up and even Mo Murder. Like, Mike, how about this? It's like, what happens if this Versus comes on and they play Mo Murder and then 3-6 play Who Run It? Over.
Well, see, that's the other thing, and that's why I don't think this is a really good. That's why I don't think this is a good matchup for Bone, because if Bone goes to the B-sides, you don't want to see their B-sides, number one. And they got hits on top of hits that could face those B-sides.
It's like you said, Bone's B-sides are actually their best stuff, like Buddha Lovers, Butt Smokers Only.
I think they got to do those too. I think they got to do Buddha Lovers and Butt Smokers Only. I was just about to mention those.
Yeah. They got to do those. That's what I'm saying. That's all B-side stuff, Mike, but it's great B-side stuff, but it's like the guys on the other side, Mike.
I don't even think, and you know, I forgot all about this record. I don't even think 3-6 is going to do Late Night Tip or a record like that. Like, I don't think they even have to. And see, the thing about 3-6, and because I was kind of thinking of, you know, if I were choosing 23-6 songs, as groundbreaking as Tear the Club Up is for them, and it is the song that broke them and, you know, brought them national and all that stuff, or at least super regional, whatever you want to call it, I don't even think that's probably one of their biggest hits. That might not even be the song they go last. Like, I think that Stay Fly is bigger than that, quote unquote. You know what I mean?
So, Mike, that's what I'm saying. So, this is what I mean. So sonically, when you start putting some of 3-6 stuff that they've released as singles up against it, and this is going to be like kind of stadium-ish, it's like, oh, like Stay Fly, Sipping on Some Syrup, Who Run It, Tear the Club Up, the verse from Chicken Head coming through the speakers, Mike, with Juicy J's part. I'm the one supplying the joke. I'm the one supplying.
Or if they just go with some of Juicy J's individual stuff, that could happen. Because even what I was just talking about with Bone, right? You know, playing an individual's verse with Tear the Club Up, they could go with Juicy and, you know, Gangsta Boo's verse and just cut it off at that point, or go into Crunchy or whatever. But that's still showcasing 3 members in like around 1 minute and 15 seconds or whatever.
Mike, they got stuff everywhere. Like Mike, they can play Pop in My Collar.
Yeah.
I love Pop in My Collar.
They got stuff everywhere. And I think what they're going to do, and I'm sure DJ Paul's probably going to direct this, and him and Juicy J are going to get on one accord, which is crazy, to direct this thing musically. They're probably going to infuse a lot of the songs that have used their stuff that people don't even know have used their stuff into the set. So even if it's not a quote-unquote 3-6 hit, it's a current hit. And, you know what I'm saying? And it's recognizable. And people are like, oh, I didn't know that came from there. This is going to be bad. This is going to be...
I don't know if it's going to be bad.
It's going to be great, but it's going to be a wash.
Bone's going to have to, you know, put their ego to the side and pick the best stuff to make this more competitive, is what I would say. I'm not going to say it's going to be a wash, because like I said, when Bone hits it, no, they hit it. It's just, what are they going to hit directly up against what 3-6 got? Because also, too, 3-6 got so much stuff that they could pull audibles. Like, oh, well, if they play that, well, we just going to play this. And just start. They got it like that in terms of, like, depth of catalog, strength of production sonically, standing the test of time, singles. It's like you said, Mike, singles. B-sides, it's like, Who Run It, Mike?
I think the other part, I mean, they could even do stuff like Ass and Titties if they want to. Like, those are hits that, or obviously Slob on My Knob is going to get on there, you know, and it's just, they got too much recognizable stuff. I don't know if
they have to play those two to even win, Mike.
They don't. They don't.
Even have to get there and get to their raunchy stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're real. Yeah, they don't even got to do.
I think what's going to happen, though, I think that the people at Versus are going to have to allow Bone more time to, you know, perform this song. They got to get at least 2 verses in. But see, I don't even know if that helps in this format. For them dragging songs out, it might actually hurt. Because and like you said, and this is because of production mostly, and because of approach, 3-6 is able to actually get in and get out real quick, and you get the point. Whereas Bone songs, a lot of the time, they were building. You know what I'm saying? And you're waiting for another person's verse, and you're waiting. And so I don't know if that really helps them in a format like this.
No, that's what I mean. It's funny how the different formats, how time has changed what kind of holds up. Like 3-6's format fits the more modern day times. It's short, it's brief, it's straight to the point, it's in and out, it's variety, it's everything that you want today.
They kind of were the blueprint for what today's format is.
It's crazy. That's what I mean, Mike. It's crazy to say. That's why it's like when we were doing was it earlier this year that we were doing like the top 5 hip hop producers, and I told you like DJ Paul was like number 5. It's like, well, look around.
Yeah, he got a lot of kids out here, man. And Juicy J too. You know what I'm saying? Like that last Juicy J project, The Saga Continues, where he got with what's his name? He got with another producer. But yeah, they were able to kind of recreate the Mafia sound to a certain degree. And it's like these guys are super consistent because they know what they're doing. And yeah, I think that their stuff comes through the speakers, like I was telling you. That shit comes through the speakers like Public Enemy and NWA stuff does. And that's a problem for Bone and just the style of production that they have chosen throughout their careers.
That's what I mean. So this wasn't like a fit.
Yeah. But like you said, man, Crazy Bone on Lil Jon's I Don't Give a Fuck I think that's a great choice. And that's really one of the best matchups that they have. But they just don't have enough of that.
They don't have enough of that.
They don't have enough of that. Like 3-6 got songs like that by the loads.
Mike, they have albums worth of material like that.
Yeah.
Albums.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. I'm looking forward to it. I guess we're going to do a mock versus. But again, I'm struggling with what 3-6 song to put last.
Mike, if Project Pat solo material is like up in the play, this could be a wash, or is going to be a wash. It's going to be a wash if that happens.
Well, I mean, I think they're going to play International Players Anthem because there's a version of them on, with it.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Project Pat's version.
Yeah.
I was in the group that we're in talking about, like, if somebody had said International Players Anthem with UGK and Outkast is a top 10 hip hop song all time. And I was like, it's a classic, but I'm not sure about that. But I immediately thought about Project Pat song. I was like, yeah, they said top 10 all the time.
It's not. Come on, man. That's not a top 10 for the individuals. Well, it might be for UGK.
Yeah, but I immediately thought about Project Pat's version. I was like, shit, I love Pat's version almost as much as I love that version.
Me too. But there's a version where it's Bun and Pimp C and DJ Paul and Juicy J. So that could be the version that's played. Because again, if we're sitting here talking about 2 verses or, one verse, they could do that. I mean, they can. I mean, we ain't even talking about riding spinners and stuff like that in that era.
That's what I mean. Like, we spitting stuff out.
Yeah. I haven't even sat here and thought about it. And I ain't even going to go with the underground stuff like, Grab the Gauge or, Body Parts 1, 2. Gangsta Boo was on her Instagram Live rapping Lord Infamous's verse from the original Grab the Gauge. And I'm like, man, these guys got so much material. It's crazy. And shout out to her too, man, because she was like 16 years old spitting this stuff, man. Like her verse on Tear the Club Up 97, she had to be like 17 years old. Comfortable on the mic. Because when Mystic Styles came out, she was down there 15, 16. And she was like, she became a vet by the 2nd or 3rd album because they had all that underground stuff. And she wasn't even 18 yet. She don't get the props she deserves.
You're right. And their work output was crazy around that time.
Yeah.
They worked. They put out projects. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was listening to Tear the Club Up today. And I'm like, structurally, I mean, we already know from the influence or whatever, but there is no Knuck If You Buck if there's no Tear the Club Up. Like, structurally, that song was put together in a similar, if not the same fashion as Tear the Club Up. All the way from Diamond and Princess's part coming in just like Gangsta Boo did.
I mean, when you hear the term trap music, what does it sound like to you? Because I would tell you it's a derivative of DJ Paul and the 3-6 sound.
Well, they created crunk music. And, and Lil Jon would say that. You know, the king of crunk will tell you that he got crunk from 3 6 Mafia. They were the first person I ever heard say crunk on a record anyway.
So, so that's what I mean. It's like you said, Mike. You got kids everywhere.
Everywhere. And yeah, I wasn't even counting this whole crunk stuff in the crunk movement. They never really hung their hat on that because, again, that was a phase that ended up turning into trap music. And really, when you look at the trap music sound, it's a derivative of DJ Paul and Juicy J's sound.
It is.
Straight up.
It is, Mike.
Not Lil Jon's sound at all. You know what I mean? And no disrespect there. And he knows that, but you know.
It's not disrespect, but it's like when you listen to like some of the beats that like Jeezy picks, like and stuff like that. It's like no, like that's a derivative of like 3 6 and Paul.
Yeah.
Like where that shit hits. Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be something that we're gonna be talking about until it actually happens on December 2nd. Like I said, I'm interested to see how it's gonna work. I think that one of the biggest handicaps Bone has, is production. Another one of the handicaps is just, structurally how their songs come together and how that's going to work verse for verse. And the hooks, there's an imbalance there too, and the hits. And so it really puts Bone in an interesting situation. And it's funny because Bone was always the big group where 3 6 the whole career was like the underdog.
Well, you want to know what? And I hate to say this. It's like if you were actually look at the careers, and this is going to seem funny because style-wise it doesn't make sense, but Bone versus Goody Mob would have been a better matchup for Bone because both of their careers are kind of more gravitated towards about 2 or 3 projects and a couple of things that they did ancillary that are really, really strong. It's going to play well better. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you mean. Career-wise, stylistically, there's a lot of differences, but they're more similar than people may think. With the harmonizing and
I was about to say with the harmonization, 4 to 5 man team, like contributing to some other great works, but not a lot of other great works. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think Versus. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I mean, like they have some seminal stuff outside of the group albums, like Get Up, Get Out on Southern Playalistic. Right. You know what I'm saying? They have stuff like that too, kind of like Bone does.
I don't feel like that the Versus format was conducive, huh?
And it's the same era too. Like Bone came out in '94, Goody coming out in '95, right after Outkast. You first hear Goody in '94. It's literally the same time frame.
No, you're right.
Yeah.
I don't think though the Versus is really conducive for 3 to 4 plus groups. You know what I'm saying? Groups with 3, 4, 5, 6 people, just based on the format, because the format, for people who may have forgotten, was pretty much for producers, which it was perfect for. Right. And then when it moved on to artists, then it's like, okay, that's cool, but solo artists. But with groups, I don't think it's conducive for anything, more than 2 groups. And, people would say the Lox and Dipset, but those are guys that got a lot of solo output within their group. So I don't really count them as just people who have that. Now, if we look at Bone, they don't have a lot outside of, the members outside of Crazy and, Busy. And El Burner did a lot of stuff too. But they don't have a lot of notable material outside of those Bone Thugs and Harmony walls,
You want to know what, Mike? And I don't want to veer too far off, but I thought to myself, we've been having this Outkast versus Tribe and a versus debate for a long time now. And it just occurred to me, like Outkast has a succinct advantage in the sense that they have like strong verses. Like it's more clear on Outkast songs who has the stronger verse and would be easier for them to do it. It's like if they were to play Aquemini, well, that would be easy. Just play the last verse that has both of them on it. They have stuff like that that's great. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like Award Tour, it's like, oh, well, that's Q-Tip's verse. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Right. Stuff like that matters. Like the way that you format your music, actually, if you're doing the group thing, matters more in the verses is what we're finding out in terms of how it fits in modern day times, because part of the reason why this format is shorter is because of the times we're living in.
I think the Tribe has the advantage when you talk about formatting this thing, because A, they have a lot of solo material within the group. B, they have two DJs in the group. And the producers in the group, I think that gives them a slight advantage if we talk about putting this thing together.
Oh, I'm talking about how it's going to sound like when you're actually like hearing the verses. It's like, okay, so it's like Big Boy and Dre are just like super, super stronger as MCs.
Definitely.
And when you put the classic material together, if they choose the right verses from the right song, it's gonna. That's what I said. It's gonna take some of that classic stuff away from Tribe because it's gonna be like, well, damn, like Outkast shit just as classic, and Dre and Big Boy actually snapping more.
We weren't even going to talk about Cass, but I do want to talk about this real quick. I mean, just like what I was saying with Bone or whatnot, picking a verse. I think you and I know how super strong Big Boy is in the Outkast material, but a lot of people let's keep real. A lot of people be waiting on Andre's verse. Like, I remember watching Atlanta, and they were playing Elevators, and they skipped right over to Andre's last verse on Elevators, and I'm like, and they had enough time to actually play, what I'm saying, both verses, but they didn't, and I just would hope if there were Outkast verses, there wouldn't be any of that going on where it's like we're just gonna be playing a bunch of 3,000 verses.
I mean, specifically, Mike, I think that's really only a problem on the ATLiens material specifically, because for me, Dre's strongest lyrical performance is on ATLiens, and that's the guy that you hear where people start to believe it's like, no, that guy might be the best MC in the game, period. That's on ATLiens. And so a lot of the stuff on that way gravitates towards Dre. But in the basis of their catalog, Mike, especially like, of course, like the first four the four albums together, of course, like Big Boy has plenty of strong stuff to choose from. Like his verse starting off Southern Playalistic. That's what I mean. They can pick one of their verses from Southern Playalistic. You know what I mean?
I think Big Boy is super strong on ATLiens too. Like when he comes in on Two Dope Boys, you know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, from the bottom of my lungs, a nigga be going spitting this game, coming up on you from the south. The ATLiens ain't changed. Cool in the most part, yeah. But again, with the hits, if we're talking about the hits, we're talking about the song ATLiens. Every day I sit while my nigga be in school thinking about the second album at the dungeon shooting pool. Now, I like if they were able to pick from those songs and pick the verses where they went 8 and 8.
Yes, sir. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They have a lot of that to choose from. Yeah. That's going to play very, very well in this format. A lot of the Tribe stuff is solo stuff or one verse. Mm-hmm. Right. Like Mike, so they can pick from Ain't No Thing, Southern Playalistic, Spaghetti Junction, you know what I'm saying? ATLiens, Wheels of Steel. They can pull from that stuff.
I think when you're going against Tribe, though, you got to pick the strongest songs. Because when you're going up against Electric Relaxation, Award Tour, Bonita Applebaum, Check the Rhyme, Can I Kick It? These are strong ass songs.
I mean, Mike, the only one of those songs that like really disturbs me, like in their catalog. I think Award Tour is a top 10 hip hop song all time potentially. Like,
you don't think Electric Relaxation would give Outkast trouble?
No. That one and Scenario were going to be the next records that I would think of. Like Award Tour, Electric Relaxation, and Scenario are the ones that I think are like Outkast probably wouldn't win those matchups.
What does Outkast have for Bonita? I mean, just putting it, a song like it.
You can go to Art of Storytelling.
I knew you were going to say that. I think Bonita's much better than Art of Storytelling. It's a bigger hit too.
It's a bigger hit. That doesn't mean it's a better song, though. So that's what I mean. That's what I mean is like a lot of that is going to be like, oh, well, how is Bonita's verse going to play versus Dre's verse live?
Well, I mean, just because you got the better verse doesn't mean it's the better song.
Thumper. Yeah. You know what I mean? How's it going to play live, Mike? It's
going to have to bring out Slick Rick on that one.
I mean, Mike, but they might just do that.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody would come out the cast.
But Mike, okay, so Mike, and we're gonna go to our next topic after this. Even if Tribe were to win those 5 records you named, Mike, they still in trouble after that.
Well, you know what? I know we did this before, but we did this before we had a big audience, man. Friday, because I think French Montana's coming out Friday. I think Snoop's coming out Friday. We'll see what that's like. We should do a Tribe and Outkast mock versus. And I'll take Tribe, and you go ahead and take Outkast.
Like, you can have those 5 records. That's what I'm telling you. Like, you can have
Okay.
those 5 records.
And we'll let the people choose. Yeah, because I really want to do this Tribe and Outkast versus
Yeah,
because
cool.
I mean I don't know, it's probably not going to happen in real life, but we can do it.
Check our demographics to see what our New York following looks like versus our Atlanta following too. I don't want.
And I hate to go against my boys, man. I'm from Atlanta, man. Outkast is everything. But, I'm also a huge Tribe fan as well. And I have no problem just, picking it just so we can be competitive on the hip hop level. And I won't mess Tribe up on purpose. I'm not gonna just,
Right. So I guess my problem with Tribe is like some of their stuff. Like, how about this, Mike? It's like if you have to play stuff like Once Again, then it's like, yeah, you probably gonna lose this. You know what I mean?
Let me go ahead and note that. Once again, L. I'm playing Vibrant Thing though. It's happening. We're gonna pull some solo stuff out because Andre ain't got no solo stuff. They're raps.
That's terrible. That's cold blooded. I can pull his verses though, Mike. That's what I'm saying. He's got plenty
You
of
want to
verses.
do that? That's cool. That's cool.
If I do, that's what I'm saying. It's just like, no, you're in all types of trouble after those 5 records. All types of trouble.
I mean, sure, you might be really beneficial in pulling some of Big Boy's individual features as well. Big Boy's features are monsters.
Oh, Mike, Big Boy's verse on All in My Grill is like a must-have if I'm doing like this. That's why I was like, yeah, if we like can pull solo stuff, it's like, yeah, Big Boy on All in My Grill, yeah.
Big Boy smashed All in My Grill.
Sure did.
He smashed that Tash record too, Smoke Fest '99, but Dre did too. But I love those guys on Neck of the Woods with Mystical too, man. That was awesome.
Neck of the Woods is dope.
That was a record that I feel like if it would have came out 6 months to a year later, it would have been way bigger. Because if that would have came out around Stankonia, well, it was a little bit before Stankonia, when Shake It Fast was big and Danger was big and Miss Jackson was out, that song would have had a whole nother look. But, timing is everything. Speaking of which, man, I know we got to, move along with the show. Did you hear about Benny the Butcher signing to Def Jam Records?
Yeah, I saw it.
So Benny posted to his Instagram, he said, "A Buffalo nigga, the new face of the legendary Def Jam. Signed my major deal finally. This for DJ Shay. Griselda, BSF, this is big. Huge Buffalo, we did it. Again, gotta thank," he goes into his thanks. Hove, of course. And the whole Rock Nation family, Westside Gun, Conway, Griselda, my team, the Sopranos, my niggas, And so he said, Big Unc Snoop, I appreciate you, OG. You know that. The Butcher's coming. What do you think about Benny the Butcher signing to Def Jam Records?
Kind of ambivalent about it. I mean, I really don't know what to make of it. I mean, for me, he's built a really, really strong and solid fan base. And so if Def Jam is going to help take him to, I guess, a level of superstardom that he's not currently seeing, that makes sense. But that also remains to be seen because like you and I talked about behind the scenes, they haven't really had a big current hip-hop star in a minute. Wouldn't you say?
No, this is facts. Before we go on with this discussion, Darnell Lee, he requested that we do a Mobb Deep and Outkast versus, and you pick Mobb Deep and I pick Outkast songs. How do you feel about that challenge?
Let's go. You're in more trouble than you were about the Tribe.
Oh, you want to do that? Really? Okay.
I don't want to do that. I'll take that smoke. I'll take Mobb. I know Mobb Deep's catalog. Yeah.
We'll talk about that behind the scenes. I'm down for either. But okay.
Because I got some Prodigy verses for you, boy.
Well, all right. To get on this Benny signing Def Jam, it's just a lot of questions, right? He just had Hit Boy produce his whole effort, Burden of Proof. And you did all of that without Def Jam Records. And, and you have the buzz that you have. Plugs I Met. You got Tana Talks 3. You get whatever feature you want pretty much. Yeah. I just, as a listener, as a viewer, as a journalist to a degree, I just don't understand what this record deal comes with. What changes things exactly?
No, you're right.
Go ahead.
No, you're right. That's why I'm kind of ambivalent about it because I really, don't know what it does for him, because I think the only thing that can really happen for him, it's going to, I guess I would say, like change his stature or his status or take him further than what his current projection is like a big record, you know? And
Right.
so, but Mike, everybody already loves him and he already has almost, you can name it, at his disposal. So it's really about making that record and becoming that guy. Because here's what I mean, and I've
Right.
always kind of, and I brought up the Method Man comparison. Well, Method Man had "I'll Be There for You." Hey, Mike, hold on one second.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to the chat.
Yeah.
Whoa, you good? Yeah, Mike Sanders says, good point, Mike. I don't know why he signed the deal either. DeCarl P. White says, I respect you. Y'all going back and forth. All right, well, this is what I don't understand, and I think these are the questions that we got to answer. Currently, what does a record deal look like? Because this isn't the days of, 106 in Park or TRL or MTV Jams where you don't get on these platforms that sell your individual record unless you sign a record deal. And you have those situations where, well, not situations, the way the industry used to be, when you only bought CDs and albums, where the record label, when you sign on to them, they handle the manufacturing of that. And, you had no way of actually printing up tons and tons of CDs, albums, whatever. That's not the case. Everything's digital. Benny's able to get whatever feature it seems like he wants. He's able to get on other people's records at will. He's able to tour heavy, tour at festivals. He's everywhere. Rock Nation Brunch, everything. And it just begs the question, like, okay, well, what changes with this Def Jam record deal? And why is the record deal even in play? I think what the fans, at least a fan like myself, wants to know is like, is this going to change the actual music? Coop, you there? You there?
Yep, I'm coming.
Okay, yeah, you went out for a second. It was showing that. It was showing the Skype thing. Oh, you switched off?
No, I had to come outside.
Okay. All right, cool. Coop's outside now. But yeah, so I think the biggest question is, like, so what is Def Jam going to actually do in this relationship that is going to, I guess, enhance the artist that Benny the Butcher is? Or is it going to be one of those things where it's like, okay, I fucked with Benny's music before he got with Def Jam. So it's like, I don't really know what changes. And
Well, that's what I mean. What can they do for him that's going to change things? Do they know something that we don't?
in today's market, like I was saying when you were offline, when you were away, it's like, okay, this isn't the days where you need to sign a record deal because you need placement out in a CD store, or you know what I'm saying, you need your CDs on the front rack at the record store, or you need Def Jam to give you a budget for a music video so you can get this music video on MTV and BET to promote your record that is in the store. Those manufacturing costs are non-existent now. But you're right. It could be a big record that digitally he needs to be, pushed to the forefront. And yeah, I don't know. Because again, when's the last time a major label gave us a star in hip hop? We have to look at that too.
I mean, Mike, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, people don't even. This is what I mean. I was ambivalent about it. I don't even know who signed to who anymore. I just figure everybody's kind of independent now, and
Yeah.
everything's just kind of a distribution deal.
I guess
Because I figure that's the smarter way for you to make your money.
on the other end too, though, what does a Def Jam offer somebody like a Benny that's already moving in that way? And like, what type of record deal can you even offer him? What can you even tell him? Like, look, we can do this, this, and this for you. I don't even know what this, and this would be. Benny is pretty much at the top of the game. People are anticipating his effort. He's in the hottest crew in hip hop right now. I don't think radio songs are important to them. They've actually proven in this era that you could be super successful and run the rap game without a radio song.
No, that's what I mean. Like, they're kind of already eating off the merch, off the shows, off the independents. And so, like, for me, this is just like about a next level of stardom potentially. But that would beg the question to me is like, well, how does Def Jam provide that for you?
Right.
Does he know something that we don't about what Def Jam is about to provide? Or do they know something about him? Or have they heard some material from him recently, maybe via Jay or from what they've been hearing in Rock Nation that says, like, you know what, let's go ahead and, like, put this guy, in our machine and, like, see what happens? Because, like, outside of that, it doesn't make sense for him because they already, like, Mike, they're already on their run. This isn't, like, the start of their run. Like, they're a few years into their run now.
Maybe this is a way to take the run to the next level. Maybe it's one of those things that, like you said, he knows something that we don't know, and the fact that West Side, might be on to other things. But, I don't know. I don't know what it is, and I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. But the fact that he had Lil Wayne and Big Sean on his first single for his last album, what exactly are they going to offer you? Like, what more could you want other than, or what more could you need as an artist? You had Hit Boy produce the whole album, just like Nas did. And then you had, Big Sean and Lil Wayne on your first single. What is Def Jam about to do for you?
No, I mean, Mike, you're right. They're very valid questions. What is Def Jam about to do for you, Mike? And I mean, until the record, what was it, Timeless?
Mm-hmm.
With Wayne and Sean. I mean, Mike, it was the worst record on the album. It hurt the album.
That's the other thing, too. Like, his audience doesn't really connect with I'm part of his audience. I don't really connect with his mainstream, I'm trying to make a hit record stuff. I like his, rubber bands and weight type stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, Mike, it's like when I play his stuff, it's like I want to hear Rick. I want to hear his verse on Gods Don't Bleed. I want to hear 97 Hove. I want to hear Rubber Bands and Weight. Like, no, I'm with you. I mean, even on that album, it's like I want to hear One Way Flight. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Well, you know what? We're just gonna have to wait and see, and I guess hopefully that means that we're gonna get some Benny material in 2022, and it's probably gonna be a big rollout for it, which is a good thing. Because
no, it's good. It's good that he's getting like this recognition and this notoriety, but I just don't think anything is going to take his stardom to the next level without like that record. Like most guys that get talked about the way that he gets talked about, with the exception of a few, usually make some sort of record. I mean, Mike, it doesn't have to be like One More Chance or I'll Be There For You. He just needs to even make like a Shay Shay Lagos.
And that could happen, and I think and I'm kind of answering some of my own questions. Once we keep talking, I think the rollout is going to be what separates things, right? Like, so in today's time, I mean, so much music comes out. I think what Def Jam may have been able to promise him is that you're going to get a real rollout that's going to differentiate you from everything that's just coming out, next week or whatever.
Okay, that could be. I mean, Mike, this is what I mean. Like, he could just make an ice cream. Like, if Griselda did an ice cream style song that, like, ended up on his album, like, for the females.
That'd be hard.
Like, that'll play,
and I think
Mike.
They could do that.
Yeah, they can more than do that. That's what I mean. It's just, like, what he really wants is, like, for me, already within his grasp without Def Jam. So it's like, we'll see what happens with it.
They say Coop outside. Yeah, Coop outside.
Yeah, Coop outside. A bird flew into my garage.
A bird flew into
Yeah, I heard something flapping by the door, Mike. I'm thinking it's an animal or something. You know where I'm up at. I'm like, because I saw a coyote up the street last night when I was coming home a few nights ago. Right. Yeah, there's a coyote chasing a rabbit across the street. But it's like,
that's live television right there, y'all.
Yeah, a whole blue jay I heard something fluttering. I'm thinking it's an animal. That's why I was like, hold up, Mike, I'm about to get up because I'm about to bag something. I'm about to fight some animal. It's a damn bird. That's even worse because a bird flying back and forth while I'm trying to do the podcast.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work.
It's not going to play.
All right, well, we'll see what's happening with Benny, man. I'm echoing now. Oh, what you do different? Did you tell me that? Okay, cool.
No, I didn't do anything. Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, Talib posted about, I guess in response to Kanye West, basically coming down on him again on that second part of the Drink Champs interview. Saying he just, I think it was the backpack line when he was talking about he used the backpack era or whatever, or the backpack rappers or whatever. Anyway, Talib Kweli went out there and posted the ghostwriters or the many ghostwriters of Kanye West, and the one he started out with was Sahai. He said Kanye Ghostwriter Appreciation Post. He ended up posting a whole bunch of people, and I don't know, man. I think that it was a worthy conversation. It's a twofold conversation, right? It's one of those things where I understand that Talib, I guess his feelings are hurt, but, and I hate to say it like that, but it is what it is. But Kanye has a grand contribution to the backpackers in that era. I mean, he made just to get by. You know, what he did for Common would be, and I know a lot of people say, well, Common was Common before Kanye, but this Common we know now, and the way he's been able to elevate his career is directly reflected from what the work that he did with Kanye West in that era.
Hey, Mike, Common was Common, but the all-time great rappers talk didn't start happening until after B came out. Not all-time great.
No, legit. And, you know, and even just the way his career has transformed since B, you can see a direct, you know what I'm saying, correlation there. Me as a Common fan, because I always felt like, you know, you ain't listening to Common, you sleeping. But it became one of those things after Kanye West, like, you gonna listen to Common. You know what I'm saying? It became a thing. And we got to give him that for that contribution. His contribution to, you know, Slum Village with Selfish. His contribution to Dilated Peoples with, you know, I Can't Live My Life This Way. I mean, he did a lot of things that he contributed. I'll put it that way. Regardless of what he had to say and however people felt about it, and even if he didn't even like the way that Talib rapped, whether he's being truthful with that or not, he gave him just to get by. And so when I saw this post about the ghostwriters, I started thinking about songs that people are on with people, right? And I immediately thought about Chain Heavy, because Talib is on there. And Consequences on there, who is another person that he cited as one of Kanye's ghostwriters. Kanye smashed both of them on that record. So I'm like, who wrote that verse? And this is before Sahai came around. And I don't really like the whole ghostwriter talk when you've been on records with people and you clearly didn't write their verse, because I don't think Talib's ever written for Kanye. That's one thing. And when they get you on a verse, like, who wrote that verse then? Because Consequence did not write that Chain Heavy verse. You've heard Chain Heavy, right?
Yeah. No, that's Ye. Okay, so Mike, so first of all, when we're even talking about backpacker movement, like for me, I was taught that like Buckshot and like all of them, the boot camp clique and all those guys are the guys that really brought back the backpack movement per se.
Right.
So I think the movement that people are talking about isn't even a backpack movement. It's more like where the neo soul began to meet hip hop type of movement, where the Roots and Erykah Badu and Common and D'Angelo and Bilal and Maxwell and the Fugees are all becoming more prominent names around the same time. Kanye does have a contribution in that movement, and a valid and a productive one. And it's like I said, well, when he's saying that, he's really saying, like, you know, I'm using them the way they use me.
Exactly.
Like, nobody thought he was going to be this. And so it's like, you know, you kind of have to eat the food. And it's really just, it comes off, I mean, for me, it just comes off as a little bit of sour grapes, because it's like, no, look what this producer who used to make beats for y'all became.
But see, the thing is, Talib is saying all of this, but he's the same person that would go on podcasts or whatever and tell these stories about, yeah, I didn't like his raps, I just wanted his beats. So now you're mad that he didn't like your raps? I mean, how do you think that made Kanye feel when he was saying that, you know what I mean, you didn't like his raps? Well, guess what? I didn't like your raps either. Now you mad? You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mike, this is what I'm saying about, like, how when Ye be saying stuff, like, wasn't none of these dudes running Ye around trying to get him signed?
Exactly.
Right. So, like, he know what time it is. He remembers. He hadn't forgotten that. And really, he really does in these moments. So he reminds you of it, too. He just reminds you in a way that makes you feel a certain type of way, like you got played. Well, maybe you did.
Yeah.
And maybe you played yourself, because this is what I'm saying. This is like, oh, well, anybody that heard the college dropout that wasn't trying to go run him around and get signed didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
you know
think,
what you was talking about.
and also I think attempting to discredit Kanye's pen game's not even the wave, man. It's like, when do we really start caring about producers writing their own stuff? Because at
That's
the
why I
end of
think
the
you
day,
might.
Kanye's a producer, right? If you want to discredit his production, okay, that might hurt a little bit more or might sting a little bit more with the fans. But as fans, we don't really care about most producers and their pen game.
No,
We
Mike.
never cared about who wrote stuff for Dre.
Mike, I think the even bigger question is if you want to make that sentiment, well, how many tracks has Ye produced for people where Ye helped them with the track or with the hook or with the pen game? Because he's one of the
Bruh,
people nice enough to do that.
listen, I
Stop
was
that.
just looking at a clip from
Stop
Fade to Black. And I'm sorry, I know Jay wrote his own stuff, but the memorable parts of Lucifer, that
Yeah.
comes from Kanye. He's in the
Yeah,
studio, I gotta get my soul right. He's
Yeah.
doing this whole thing. So
Yeah.
he's not gonna get credit for that, huh?
Right. That's
But-
what I'm saying. So it's like when you pulling up all those writing credits and stuff, it's like, man, don't make Ye go into his bag and pull up like 50 songs where he contributed stuff that we didn't even
No,
like,
he
you know.
didn't. Right.
Right.
Because I
Right.
felt like
I was
that
not
even when
gonna-
you remember when Cameron did that thing against Jay-Z, right? Where he was like, I'm not a writer, I'm a biter, all that stuff, right? And he was
Right.
going through all the lines that Jay reworked and all that. And I'm like, well, okay, let's do a video of song of how many people have taken Jay lines.
Right.
Because that could be a whole thing too. And yeah, we got to be fair about it. If you want to talk about people who've helped Kanye with lines, you've been behind the scenes, that Kanye's helped a lot of people with lines. And you want to leave that part of it out. And I think...
I mean, Mike, for almost all of these great producers, when they're sitting behind the boards, they're getting inspired by these guys rhyming over their tracks. They have thoughts. They have feedback. They have ideas about how it should be delivered. They made the beat, for God's sake. That's why when you're seeing Kanye doing what he's doing on Lucifer, well, he made the beat. So he's already created a vibe and a mode in his mind. He's trying to transfer it to Jay. Jay is one of those guys that's empathic enough that he can give it to him and Jay can go in there and pull it off like a great actor can,
Yeah.
And but producers do that. It's like, I remember Pharrell was talking about he gave Busta some bars for Pass the Cavassier.
Yeah.
We think any less of Busta because he took some bars from Pharrell for Pass the Cavassier?
That's a producer's job.
Producer's job.
If we're going to sit here and they're in the chat talking about Common's B album, let's look at the corners. Listen to that hook. Who's that sound like?
That's Ye.
Yeah. Listen
That's
to
Ye.
the hook for the food. Who is that?
That's Ye.
Come on now.
That's clearly Ye on the food.
Yeah, it is. So
Clearly.
if we want to give credit, we got to give credit where credit's due. And he's
Right.
a producer first, regardless if he was rapping before that, but he made his bones in this game as a producer. So if he does get some writers at some point, who cares? I think the
Right.
most personal stuff, we're not going to sit here and say somebody else wrote Hey Mama for him or Through the Wire for him.
Or Roses.
And my other thing before we get off this topic, when people
Mike,
start
who
bringing
wrote
out
Gold Digger,
ghostwriters...
Who wrote Gold Digger, Mike? Who wrote
Exactly.
Jesus Walks?
Exactly. He even did the second verse of Gold Digger at the what was that, Def Poetry Jam or whatever, when Mos Def introduced him as the future of hip hop.
No, you're right.
No, so let's not sit here and act like he didn't write anything. He's a producer first. But
He
see,
wrote-
my biggest problem when people start
Wrote most of
pulling.
his big stuff.
Go ahead.
He wrote most of his big stuff his damn self.
Exactly. My problem when people start pulling out these ghostwriters, it's not like he's pulling out Jay-Z as a ghostwriter or something. Like most of the ghostwriters that he pulled out, I'm like, okay, well, show me material from them that matches this stuff you're talking about they wrote for, Kanye.
So this is
Respectfully.
what I mean. Okay, so this is what I mean when it's like, okay, so when Talib says that, I think about all the hits that Ye has written that like crush all of Talib's best stuff. Like Mike, I said, Gold Digger and Jesus Walks is bigger than anything Talib's ever done. Both of them.
Well, they
Like,
say
yeah.
Rhymefest wrote Jesus Walks, but see, again, when you talk about writing and talk about somebody wrote something, it's a slippery slope. They could have given you an idea. They could have said, you know what, this bar would be cool. They could have told you to change something or whatever. But
Right.
that doesn't mean that, and I think people take it as, okay, Rhymefest was like, boom, boom, boom. Here's Jesus Walks. Go in there and record it. I'm pretty sure that's not how it went. Because when you listen to Kanye's raps, It sounds like how he talks.
Right, Mike. That's why we love the College Dropout so much. It sounds like how he talks. All falls down. That sounds like Ye.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean? Gold Digger sounds like Ye. Mike Roses sounds like Ye. Mike Diamonds from Sierra Leone, that sounds like Ye. Mike crack music, that sounds like Ye.
And either he's a great actor and starts living the stuff that's in the rhymes that other people wrote for him, or
Right.
he really wrote this stuff because
Right.
he lives it.
Mike, heard him say, no, that sounds like Ye. Big Brother, no, that sounds like Ye. Flashing Lights, that sounds like Ye.
I know we got to go in a minute, so we're going to go to this little Beanie
Yeah.
Siegel thing real quick, and then we're going to go to that 2001 and be out. But you saw when Beanie Siegel was on TMZ, or TMZ talked to Beanie Siegel, I guess, about, you know, the fact that he gave Yeezy his name. This is what Beanie Siegel had to say. Let me go to the
I did name him that, but as far as his business mind and where he took it, you know, Kanye worked hard for this. Kanye don't owe me nothing. I don't know if I would take a number, because you give a fish, you give somebody a fish today, he gonna eat for the day. If you teach somebody how to fish, he gonna eat forever. He gonna teach his family how to fish. So I wouldn't, a number, I'm not even thinking about a number, but I would love to do some business where I can earn some money, because I'm an earner. I never was the type to take just for a handout. My mind is sort of like a Kanye's mind. I think outside the box. I got a lot of business ventures that I think that if me and Kanye was to sit down and had that opportunity to present it to him, that, you know, it's some money on the table that I can earn. That's all love, bro. Whatever you got on the table, man, let's sit down, let's talk. It ain't a dollar amount that's on our relationship. Ain't nothing that I've done that I wouldn't do again, bro. You don't owe me nothing but love, bro. But let's get to some money. Let's get to some music. Let's get to some fashion. Let's get to some movies. We can do all that, and the rest will fall in place.
I love that, man. I love that. And since then, I guess it's noteworthy. Since then, they've met up. There were images of, you know, Kanye and Siegel embracing each other, and I think they're gonna be talking business, man. And whatever they do, that's between them, and, you know, hopefully all the right things happen. But I think that's a great look. What say you?
Just gotta love Beans, man. like Mike, what are your 5 favorite Beanie Siegel songs?
Oh man, you put me on the spot. I mean, "Feel It in the Air" is one that comes to mind.
Yep.
You know, "What's Your Life Like?"
Yep.
I mean, he does those things where it's like you feel him. Like he has, and we've talked about this on the show before. He has one of those rare abilities where he can really make you feel where he's coming from. And I think we talked about this last week, that his ability to do that on the Dynasty was it was blaring in a sense where Jay hadn't gotten to that point yet. And I don't even think Jay's been able to, you know, deliver in that way. And not many people have. I think you got a Scarface, a Tupac, you know, who's able to dig in those realms, a Ghostface. And yeah, man, Siegel's just special. And he showed us a lot of things too, like MC-wise, when he went up against Jada. I don't care what anybody say. He smashed Jada. And that doesn't take away from...
He definitely threw him a fade. Definitely threw him a fade.
He beat Jadakiss in the battle.
He won, Mike. I'm just saying, I don't think it was like a smash. It ain't like Kiss didn't have no heat. But it's like, no. But he won.
He won. And that was impressive too at that time, because Jada was
he had next. Jada had next.
Jada had next. That's the best way to put it. As hyped up as Jada is right now, and well deserved, because he's had an incredible career and he still is on top of his shit. Back then,
how it was then. It's kind of going back to how it was then. His buzz is like that again. Yeah, it's crazy.
But, you know, the fact that Siegel said all those things, and he's right. He is the reason that the Rock family, or the Rockefeller family, was reinvented. That state property brought a lot to Rockefeller and a lot to Jay-Z's career as an individual too. You could see what was rubbing off on him. And, you know, some have said that Jay was taking some of their lines here and there, but, you know, whatever. That's hearsay. Who knows? But a lot of that state property, but you could hear the influence, and shoot, he was sitting right next to young Chris right there, and a lot of Jay's been questioned about the young Chris influence too. So, saying all that to say, Beanie Siegel brought a lot to Rockefeller as a unit, and him being visionary in that way and giving Kanye the Yeezy name, a name that Kanye ran with. And we never even heard anything about this until Kanye said something about it. I look forward to them doing anything together moving forward, man, because, yeah, like Siegel said, he does think outside the box, and he's proven that in the past.
He does. He does. I mean, I'm happy for Beans. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like you, Mike. He's so integral to the success of what's considered to be now a landmark hip hop record label. And I mean, I don't care what you say, Mike, the bag's supposed to add up to the contribution, and it hasn't. And it's looking like these are steps in the manner towards that as well. And shout out to Beans for still kind of wanting to be Beans and kind of do it his way. Like, no, I don't even want it like that. Like, I got ideas. Like, I love it when I hear that, because that lets you know that it's like you still can't throw $1 at Beans and get Beans to change. And they just don't make dudes like that anymore. Like, they don't.
It's a everybody's gonna have to work. Like he said, he praised Kanye West's hard work and what he was able to do to get the Yeezy brand to where it is. But Siegel also lets you know, like, yeah, I don't want a handout. Like, I wanna work. You know what I'm saying? I wanna put in that work too, and we can do that together to a certain extent or whatever. Like, I think that's super dope, because a lot of people just want to, get your check, chill out, go to the beach, lounge, and kick it. And Beans want to be like, no, I got stuff that I want to work on that, I'm inspired to do that, we could do. And I think Beans, that's great.
I mean, Beans could have, right, you said, Mike, Beans could have took the check, paid his debts, and, went off somewhere.
Yeah, and I ain't got to work again type of thing. But he wants to work, and I think that's really, really dope. And it really shows you how integral of a part of Rockefeller that he was. Because I thought about that when I saw him say those things. It's like, you take away state property and that whole movement, or let's just say take away Beans from Rockefeller altogether, that whole movement doesn't happen in that way. Because I remember what it was like when it was just Jay and Bleak. Yeah, I remember what it was like when it was just Jay, Bleak, and Emil. And then when Siegel came, that added a whole different lane. Like, okay, this is a label now.
Hold on, how about this? You want to know why? Because his talent commanded that, Mike. I keep telling people, you're talking about somebody with top 5 MC capabilities.
We've talked about this before, and like I said, the talent level of Siegel, the talent level of Siegel, and the fact that he's had to make albums in his prime under the handicap of having one of the most notable and possibly the greatest MC of all time sign off on his beats while he's in the prime of his career too. I don't think there's anybody that's had to deal with that. Like, not could get
the MC of his caliber.
Not of his caliber. And it's like he could have gotten the greatest beats ever. And Jay heard that and be like, no, that's coming on my effort. Try again.
Yeah. Even like when you hear Do It Again, tell me that Do It Again isn't Siegel's track, really.
I mean, that's the only thing that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to the fact that Jay heard that song and put it down and say, you know what, this is the record I want to put Siegel on.
Right.
It doesn't make sense going that way, but it makes sense going the other way. But I look forward to, hearing what Beans and Kanye have going on. And this might be that resurgence of the Rockefeller unit that people have always wanted. Through the fact that Kanye has a great working relationship with Dame and a great working relationship with Siegel, seems like. Right. And also the fact that, Biggs was sitting in during the Drink Champs. I mean, I don't know what that is, but yeah, this might be a resurgence of these gentlemen doing big business together.
Right. No, and also, too, don't forget, that's Chris sitting down in the video next to Beans.
Right.
Beans went and did Oskino's podcast. Beans and Free patch things up about some things that's happened to Free personally. So it is looking like it's starting to converge sans one person, Mike.
Well, I mean, if Ye is the head of it, I hate to say it like this, people aren't as concerned with Jay's involvement.
You really don't need him, do you, if you have Ye, do you? Right.
It's it's a different division of Rockefeller. You got Ye, because it always feels like people have Jay and Ye on opposite sides anyway. But if you know that Bleak is over here with Jay like it originally was, and now you got Ye, Dash, Siegel, Young Chris, and all that, it's like, oh, well, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I think people will accept that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely something in the works. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if I saw, like, some murmurs of, like, Dash and Siegel and the whole team back together in the same room, Biggs, like, all that. That wouldn't surprise me. Like Ye's moving right now. That's what I mean. He's everywhere right now. And he's not moving in a way like it's like he said in the interview. It's like, I'm not telling you what I'm doing anymore. I'm just doing it.
Yeah, and even him patching things up with Drake or whatever, it's like that's all strategic and it's just part of the plan. Like, okay, if you want me to come up here to Toronto and take a picture on the side or whatever, cool, whatever, nigga. Like,
Because
it's not even that big of a deal.
But he has the good fortune of seeing very accurately where he is, and so he knows when and how to humble himself in the situation. Be like, yeah, because I got a master plan. None of y'all thinking about really.
Listen, I've always prided Jay-Z on the fact that he thinks 3 or 4 steps ahead of the game. I think that Kanye thinks 3 or 4 steps ahead of him.
Yeah,
and that's saying a lot.
No, I could like these moves that he's making, Mike. They're not ancillary like moves that aren't connected.
And they come across as spur of the moment, but they're not.
No, it's not. It's not, Mike. It's not.
And Nori tried to credit himself with getting people to like Kanye again, but no, Nori, you were part of the plan.
It's more cohesive than you realize when you really start paying attention, Mike.
Yeah. He's very, 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 very smart. Very smart.
Intelligent. Yeah.
All right, well, before we get up out of here, man, Chronic 2001, Dr. Dre's sophomore. Are we going to call this his sophomore effort? Let's cut the shit. That's his 3rd album, right?
Whatever. Right.
It celebrated its 22nd anniversary. And, we asked on According to Hip Hop who was the MVP of that album. And one of the comments, I think DeCarlo's in the room right now, he was like, we're going to hate on Eminem. And I want to ask you, who do you think was the MVP of the Chronic 2001?
I mean, Mike, while we were getting set up, I was like looking at all the linear notes behind the scenes of the making of the Chronic 2001, writing credits, production credits, so on and so forth. Mike, I mean, you were right, actually, and people are going to be surprised. It's Eminem, and it's about the song that you brought up, too, because I would say that it's Snoop, except for the fact that, well, Eminem wrote The Watcher, and that would kind of be the tiebreaker in that for me, because if you look at it, they both have like equal amount of writing credits. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But The Watcher is probably, I mean, isn't The Watcher probably Dre's most memorable moment as an MC? Like just solo wise?
Interesting. I've never heard of it described like that, but I think it could be.
I mean, like if you're just talking about Dr. Dre on a song by himself, isn't that his most memorable moment as an MC?
I think it might. As an MC, where it's just him by himself, I would say "Let Me Ride." Right.
I was thinking about "Let Me Ride" too, but the bars are better.
The bars are better.
The bars are better. So we're talking about he penned Dr. Dre's best mic performance.
I gotta admit, man, I think it's Eminem, and 2001 is one of my favorite albums from that period specifically.
World's gonna explode when they see this. Look at Mike.
No, I gotta be honest, man.
Mike,
like,
I want to thank you for your growth and development and your honesty and candor.
Terminator 2 says The Watcher was written by Jay-Z. Nah, I think that Marshall has the credits on there. Jay-Z wrote Still D.R.E.
Yeah, Dre wrote Still D.R.E.
I mean, even if you listen to the patterns, that's Marshall. Times is changing. Young niggas is aging, becoming OGs in the game is changing to make way for these new names and faces. Things are happening. The rapping. I mean, I got to give him credit, man. Eminem did an incredible job on 2001. I think he's the MVP. In my opinion, his feature on Forgot About Dre.
That's probably the best verse on that album, too, for just talking lyrically.
You know what? It could be. It could be. I know Corrupt has a standout on Explosive, but yeah, if you want to sit here and talk about bar for bar, what do you say to somebody you hate and anyone trying to bring trouble your way? Want to resolve things in the blood of your way? Study the tape of NWA. And even Dr. Dre's verse, and I think Marshall wrote that one too, where he was like, give me one more platinum plaque and fuck rap, you can have it back. Was all the mad rappers at? It's like a jungle in this habitat. All you savage cats knew that I was strapped with gaps, you were cuddling in a cabbage patch. I got it. Yeah, I think it's Eminem, man, and not to mention his verse on "What's the Difference."
Yeah, I mean, Mike. I mean, if you really look at it, his contributions on that album, because almost everything he's on there is what you would certify as a classic on some sort of level.
Yeah,
that might be his crowning achievement as an MC and as a writer in this game, is his contributions to 2001 as far as to the hip hop community.
I think Nate Dogg is definitely in the conversation too. I see people in here saying Snoop. I think Nate Dogg.
If Snoop, then Nate is how it would go, and then Corrupt after that, and then Hitman. I think would be the order.
You know, Hitman did a lot of work on there. I think, like, as far as like the body of work on the album, he did a lot of album work on there.
He did the most work, but it wasn't the best work. Because he just superstars doing superstar shit. You know what I mean?
No, that's real. But I think Nate Dogg's explosive contribution is big.
I mean,
think Nate Dogg's contribution.
That's the most memorable moment of the album, probably. And
what,
I think.
What about next episode, though?
Well, those two, well, pick one. I mean, yeah, you're right. The two most memorable moments probably belong to Nate, but it's an album. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's like, because if you really look at it, it's like, well, his contributions outside of that, I think he's only he's on 2 other records on there? I think he's on 4 songs?
Yeah. Terminator 2 says, again, no substance, just gibberish rhyming. Eminem has no substance, even as a ghostwriter. Listen, I'm with you normally on that. I think there's substance on The Watcher.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The Watcher has substance. That's Dre's best performance. The Watcher has substance.
Yeah, it's like when you trap young niggas in cages. You know, what was that line? It's dangerous for those who look like strangers. You know what I mean? Like, it's some things on there. I got to give Eminem credit on that. I think he might be the MVP in 2001.
No, I think he is the MVP.
And that's saying a lot. But yeah, Snoop is right there too. I think Snoop was definitely necessary for the process. We needed Snoop on Still DRE, and Snoop showed out on next episode.
Yeah. Yeah, those were his highlights. Still DRE, next episode.
People say, how about the DLC? We're not talking about the original Chronic.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, yeah, that's a whole different conversation. But, yeah, do you want to do the, on Friday, do you want to do the Outkast and Tribe versus, or do you want to do the Outkast and Mobb Deep versus?
You want to know what? We've actually done the Outkast Tribe thing once, and I actually got to pick Outkast. And so I'm actually going to let's do the Outkast Mobb Deep, and you take Outkast. Because I'm going to tell you something that I didn't do that I would do this time around. I picked Outkast songs last time. Remember, we kept it to their bodies of work and material. We didn't pick no outside stuff. Remember? No,
I agree. And when you brought that up in the conversation, I was like, ooh, that changes things.
Yeah, that changes things. When you think about Big Boy and Andre both have stellar guest appearances on other stuff. So it's like, that's a whole nother animal. And most of them are on hit records. You know what I mean?
You know, I love Mobb Deep, man, but I'm about to smash you on this one, man.
Not like you think, Mike. Not like you think.
Terminator 2 says, so Mike D, you approved the Santa bars and reindeer? No, that shit was terrible. It was the worst moment of Katie.
You know, Mike, Terminator's worse than you, man. Like y'all just gotta, man.
He's trying to get me started, man. You know, when I was listening to Katie,
no more rants, no more epic Eminem rants.
That reindeer line is terrible, man.
You just gave him MVP of the Chronic 2001. That is how we need to end this show.
All right, yeah, Eminem's the. I can't even get the words out. Eminem is the MVP of Dr. Dre's The Chronic 2001 album, I must admit. Although that was a very long time ago, but it was great work. And it still stands up.
Oh, God. It's just never stopped.
All right, man. We're going to talk Friday, man.
We're not getting invited, Mike. We're not getting invited to the Rock Nation brunch. We're not getting invited to Sherman Oaks to chill, hang out at Aftermath ever. There'll be none of that.
You know what? I do want to go to the Rock Nation brunch, man. Y'all got to invite us. It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
Oh, God.
No, but we're gonna get invited to the Aftermath stuff too, man. I don't have no problem with Eminem. I think Eminem is a dope MC, man. I just don't think he's a top 10 MC. That's my only problem.
Top 10 MC either. Y'all just be talking about him like, okay, like never mind. We don't have time for it. We don't have time.
The decline is real, and if we didn't acknowledge the decline, we wouldn't be honest. That's it. The Eminem Show is a dope album. It is what it is.
All right, y'all enjoy y'all day. I'm gonna go get this bird out my basement.
Yeah, man. Go handle that, man. I didn't know what had happened. I was like, man, Coop dipped out on us.
Something kept fluttering. I don't think you understand. Something kept fluttering, and I was like, yo, I'm like, and then it just flew across. I was like,
Whoa.
I'm up in the woods.
Yeah, go handle that, man. Great show, and we'll talk Friday, man. We're gonna do a real dope mock versus.
Yeah, I'm
Outcast and Mobb Deep, right?
Yeah, Outcast Mobb Deep.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right.